just
Yeah.
coming back to the point on failures and people really being scared of feeling, and how this whole comparison mindset that we seem to have had developed because of the times that we're living in right now impacts us. um, I think a lot of people, like you said, are paralyzed because whenever they pop on these forms of social media and you
Yeah.
see these things, these half-baked pictures, and
Yeah.
it's sometimes not even those influencers' fault. We make assumptions, like we see him or her in, say, a Mercedes G Wagon, and we automatically have made assumptions in our mind that they're rich, they're successful, they're
Yeah.
respected, they're accepted. Maybe they didn't even say that. Now, we don't even know, are they posting it because they wanted us to think that? Or maybe that's just the only vehicle that they have. I don't know, right? But we make it worse by making assumptions ourselves. Like, I see Kodi in great shape, and I assume in my mind, man, if he's in great shape, he's definitely in a great mental state, emotional
Yeah.
state. His relationships are intact. The guy is killing it. He's this routine creature who wakes up every day, every time, 100% discipline. Cody never said that, but I
Yeah.
assume that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's just how the
Yeah.
human brain works, because our human brain is a question answering machine, and that's how God has made it, because it's necessary for our safety and our survival. The moment we see something, we ask a question: do I like it? Do I not? Is it good? Is it bad? It's automatically happening inside of our mind, and we're making this comparison for our own safety. But of course, in the current day and age that we're living, it seems to be doing more harm than good in many cases. But what's a practical tip you can give, Cody, for all of us who, whether we like it or not, are stuck in this new age that we are in? I don't want to even get into artificial intelligence because that's
Yeah.
a whole topic by itself. But let's just take this whole new age that we're in, where everything is for the gram. I'll just give one more example. Ever since I moved to Dubai, I
Yeah.
realized the amount of luxury car rental services that they have. And that got me thinking, when you go about on the streets or in the malls or wherever, and you see people driving these cars. It's very common in Dubai, Lamborghinis and Bugattis and whatnot. We automatically assume that the person driving the car is the owner of the car,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But in many instances, in fact, in a majority of the instances, these are rented vehicles, right? And they're rented for two reasons. Number one, sometimes it doesn't make sense to park that much of money to maintain into a vehicle which isn't your daily drive, because these cars are not comfortable drives, right? There's, sports cars. Or the second thing is they are renting it in order to make us think that they are super successful or to get attention or likes or whatever, right? And
Yeah.
that's a reality that we don't consider. And sometimes I know that, but still, for all, if one of those vehicles drive by, I'm not a big car person, but still, for all, it's nice. And I still catch myself looking at it. I'm like, but he could be renting it, right? And I'm not saying that to put him down, but I'm saying that to protect myself, because you could make
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
snap comparison and think, damn,
Yeah.
everyone here is so successful, I'm not successful, right?
Yeah.
But most of the people here are either renting or are in debt, especially those who are trying to live that 1% lifestyle in Dubai. Because when you see it on the gram, you assume this is majority of the Dubai, that everyone's dining at the Burj Khalifa and driving Lamborghinis. But the
Yeah.
truth is, it's a tiny population out of
Yeah.
everyone that's here who's living that lifestyle. In many
Yeah.
cases, people are renting these things, right?
Yeah.
So I always say you could take an influencer who might hire a Lamborghini for three
Yeah.
days, right?
Yeah.
Get maybe 20, 30 different outfits and wear those different outfits. This really happens, Cody. Like, people do it, right? They drive around, go to
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
locations, they do photo shoots, and you've got content for 6 months to a year to post where everyone thinks that he or she has all of these outfits. Do you know that in Dubai you can rent jewelry? So if you want to wear a really
Very.
expensive piece of jewelry for your photo shoot or for an event, you don't even have to own it. You just
Yeah.
rent it,
Shit.
right? Right? And forget it being good or bad, but us seated on the other side, foolishly looking at all of these materialistic things, assume that, man, they must be doing something so much better than you and I. And they are
Yeah.
so much more successful than you and I, that they can wear those pieces of jewelry, drive these vehicles, and, live this kind of lifestyle. Well, in reality, that may have just been 6 days out of the 6 months.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
people leverage this into their social media to use it to sell you maybe courses on how to get rich or how to do drop shipping or something. And you're thinking, look, if the guy has a G Wagon and a Lamborghini and wears that watch and drives this car, for sure he's successful. He knows what he's doing. So I'm going to put my money in. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
um, that was, I forget who said it, but someone said that the best way to filter out intellectual and intelligent people is to use materialistic possessions, meaning when you flash your cars and your watches and your lifestyle,
Yeah.
everyone who buys that course or buys that product or that service, those are the people who lack the intelligence. Because any experienced, mature individual would not buy the course for your lifestyle or what you have. They'll actually look at the content that you're giving. They'll actually look at maybe the people who truly benefited from it, look for testimonies, and then
Yeah.
pick it. Same with coaches. You would have experienced just because someone has an amazing body, that doesn't mean they're an amazing coach. But in many
Oh,
instances, people put their money down because I want to look like him or I want to look like her, right? So we're stuck in this world. This is the reality that we're living in. This is the surrounding. But how do you navigate? How do you keep yourself on track? How do you stop yourself from getting distracted by in the Matrix, they say the lady in the red dress, right, who always keeps distracting. How do you keep yourself focused on what you need to achieve? Because from what you're saying, the goals that you've achieved are things that took time, right? They're not things that happen in 1 month, 2 months. It took maybe years, a couple of years, maybe months, a couple of years. And how did you keep yourself on the path without getting distracted, without running after shiny object syndrome?
as much as we talk about materialistic things, like, to be honest, if I give you my honest feedback, yes, I love brands, I love materialistic things. I like to, yes, definitely a Patek Philippe, or all those cool brands. Yes, I would love to own those one day. But for me, before that, my path is clear in regard to my passion on where I want to be happy inside. Like, it's, yes, materialistic things are cool, but that doesn't drive my happiness anymore. It is
Mm,
something, it is not success for me.
right,
Materialism is not success for me anymore. It
right,
used to
right.
be. It used to be.
Hmm.
Because when I was a kid, like, my father had a Tissot, and and I'm like, oh, I want that. And then I asked my dad, I told me, can I have that? He told me no. And then I was like, I wanted his watch, but he told me. And then my dad used to have a lot of perfumes, like awesome
Mm.
perfume. I was like, can I have that? He's like, no. I'm like, right. So that made me crave for more. That made me crave.
Mm,
I'm not egoistic, but I'm that hungry guy. You tell me no, I will make sure I'll do it twice.
got it.
So it can be my dad, it can be anyone close to me. If you put me down once, I'll make sure I'll come up twice. So it's just it might be ego driven, but I never use it for the wrong reasons. Because for me, after I got matured with age, I realized, okay, success for me, happiness for me, I could go in the bus. I could go in the bus right now and be freaking happy every day without even renting a Lamborghini. Because I don't need to rent or prove myself. Shit, I look good on Instagram. I don't want to look good on Instagram. I want to be right. I want to be good in real. I mean, you never know. One day Instagram stops working. Who are we going to talk to? So for me, success is something more than brands now. Success for
Mm,
me is something like we both are doing right now.
mhm, mhm.
Talking together, talking each other's passions, working with the community, understanding how we could give at least 1% of information every day. Like, you and I, we never decided to speak to 2,000 people any day. We just always decided to speak to one person from our hearts. That is why we are connected even right now. So
Absolutely, yes.
for me, I mean, Lamborghini Ferraris are cool, but for me, I'm very passion driven. I'm very career oriented. I want to make sure in what I do, I am specialized sufficiently to help the community. So I mean, if someone is materialistic driven, if you are driven, okay, drive yourself the right way. Like you said, Zabba, there are no good or bad. There was one book I read, it says there is never bad people, it's just there are different bad actions or good actions. It depends. There are never bad people,
Mm,
it's
mm,
just action. So like you said, it's up to you to take what you want from the person and let go of the rest.
Absolutely.
So I don't fake it till I make it. I will make it.
That's
It's
it.
a matter of it's a matter of doing it. Like I see, like how the summer is in Dubai, and
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
but like if like there is a lot of people who work harder than us. Like there is a lot of people
Much. Yeah.
much more. And trust, like there is a world out of social media that we all don't see, but sometimes we are blessed to see those world outside
Mm,
those. If people use like if I'm not mistaken, let's just Google average screen time
this is going to
uh
be bad.
by by
I already know it's going to be bad.
by a person. Uh, okay, so average screen time overview is 7 hours a day. Average screen time over 7 hours a day. So majority of the people, just imagine 7 hours a day. Okay, 7 hours a day, and people tell me, Kodi, I don't have time. We are busy. Yeah. Okay, so 7 hours a day plus, let's say, assume people sleep 6 hours a day, assuming just shortest time frame, and you do a job for another 8 hours, 21 hours. 21 hours out of 24 hours is just, I don't know. There was also research done on Netflix. There are at least an individual spends 4 hours a day on Netflix.
Wow.
Just imagine the overall screen time by humans. So
It's crazy.
it's crazy. And one of my
Pudi, I mean,
clients,
in those 7 hours that you mentioned,
yeah,
a person could spend 2 hours. You don't even need 2 hours, but say 2 hours for a workout. Say 30 minutes to travel up, 30 minutes to travel down, 1 hour in the gym. They could use, they've still got 5 hours remaining from those 7 hours. Let's give 2 hours to screen time to browse on social media so you don't, the fear of missing out isn't there. But you've still got another 3 hours. And in those 3 hours, you can upskill yourself. You can read something that's going to shift your perspective. You can spend time with your wife or your children or someone that you love, and deepen those relationships that really matter. And yet here we are, 7 hours on a device consuming somebody else's content. And unfortunately, the truth is, while there is good on social media, majority of those 7 hours are spent on weird stuff like cat videos, or I don't know, something that's, and I think, like, see, one of the researches I was reading also is that we are all constantly looking for a way to escape the reality. Like you said, reality is tough. There's a lot of
yeah,
failures, a lot of pain to actually go through. And
yeah,
see, humans were dopamine-driven creatures, right? That was a research done on rats, to check how powerful dopamine can be. Rats
yeah,
or mice, I forget. But basically, all they have to do is there's a little lever. If they put their, I don't know what rats have, a claw or whatever, on the lever, cocaine comes into the rat cage, right? And we know
okay,
cocaine is a highly addictive substance, and cocaine is primarily driven to the dopamine receptors. It causes you to secrete dopamine. And for those who don't know, that's our pleasure hormone that makes us feel happy, right? And if you allow the rat to pull on the lever as much as it wants, it will consume until it dies, right?
mm,
And that really just gives us a snapshot of some of the things that we struggle with. Like, we often wonder why people, with maybe smoking or alcohol or pornography addictions or bad spending habits or gambling or whatever those things might be. And it
yeah,
really boils down to a biological thing that we're struggling with, which is dopamine. And
yeah,
unfortunately or fortunately, current world and modern marketers have understood the power of dopamine. So the convenience that they give, the ease of purchase that they give, the luxury that they give, the status that they make you feel, or the quick satisfaction you get when you eat certain types of foods, all
yeah,
of these are engineered around pulling on that dopamine lever of ours, right? And they make us feel like we have the freedom, the capability, the ability to decide. But the truth is, when you surround yourself with all
yeah,
of these things that are super attractive, that can give you happiness in a click of a button, it is so difficult as a human being to stop yourself from going onto that, from that convenience of just, when you're seated in a room with some people you don't know, it's very uncomfortable, right? It's
yeah,
very awkward. And you will see 9 out of 10 times what people will do is pull out their phone and hop onto it, even though it's not a message came in or a call. Why? To distract themselves from the discomfort of sitting in a room with unknown people. But like you said, behind that pain, behind that discomfort, those are where the victories lie. If you use that moment to strike up a conversation, you never know. Your next big customer or client may have been that person. You
For
never
sure.
know, right?
For
They
sure.
may have been the one who can give you that opportunity you've been looking for the past 5 years in your life. Or at the very least, you would have experienced one of the most beautiful things in life, which is human connection,
Yep.
right? And if you look at the longest running study on humans, which was the Harvard research done on happiness, what it
Yep.
concluded at the end of the day is that yes, while money, wealth, status, fame can bring you a certain amount of happiness, the one thing that determines success over the period of an entire lifetime of a human being was the depth and meaning that they had with human connection. And it didn't even have to be number of people. Even if it was just two people in your life that you had a super deep and meaningful connection, this is what brought lasting joy and happiness to people. And yet everything that we're doing on a daily basis is to individualize ourselves, focus on ourselves, to get our things done. And I even mentioned, somebody who's working as a life coach, one of the biggest drawbacks I see in our industry is a hyper focus on myself, right? It's all about me, my goals, my earning, my this, my that, my. Forgetting that life or humans are social creatures, right? The happiness and the joy. Like, for example, even if people who might want to rent a Lamborghini that gives them a great image and makes them look good, wouldn't do it if there were no other people around them, right? The joy and the happiness that they're getting, even though it's short lived, is because of what the other humans think of them. And that in itself should tell us the importance of being social animals and social creatures, right?
Yeah.
So, coming back to the point, like, we are finding so many ways to numb ourselves from this pain. But like you showed us, everything that you've achieved has been on the other side of pain, on the other side of discomfort, on the other side of adversity, right? That's where those victories are. So
Yeah.
I think it makes sense what you're saying, that so many people in today's day and age are struggling with that. But Kodi, I have one more question to ask you, because with regards to this full circle of how people can achieve success. So you said that number one is you got to take 100% accountability. No matter what, if you take the responsibility, you give yourself the power to change the outcome. Number two, you said that it's super important to fail. It's super important to keep trying things, just get started, right? See where it goes, be willing to fall on your face 100 times over. And
Yeah.
that is the way that you're going to actually learn what works and what doesn't. Number
Yeah.
three, you said that you have to have that emotion or that feeling that you really want it badly, right?
Yeah.
A question I get asked a lot as a life coach is, why don't some people change? Like, why do some people keep doing the things that keep hurting them? And the answer is very simple. A person only changes when the pain of remaining the same is more than the pain of changing. Because, like you said, in order for us to achieve something or to get to somewhere, you have to overcome some pain,
Yeah.
right? And for many of us, being the way we are is painful, but it's less painful than changing, because change has uncertainty, the unknown, fear of failure. People might laugh at me.
Yeah.
This pain in our head, not in reality, but in our head, is bigger than the actual pain of remaining an alcoholic or remaining addicted to the pornography, or remaining somebody who can't control their spending habits, or remaining somebody who doesn't show up at 100% at work every single day.